One of the biggest challenges that I've seen for most speakers is that they open their presentations in a very poor manner. It's dull, it sounds like everybody else, and it in essence creates a hole from which it is very difficult to dig out of. Now, the good news is there are some very specific tools that you can use that will not only cause the audience to sit up and take notice, but will create an interest in them to hear more of what you have to say. And that's what we'll discuss in this video. Hi, I'm Michael Davis, the Speaking MD. Since 2011, I've had the great fortune to work with some of the best speakers in the world champion and Hall of Fame speakers. And one of the most important ideas that they taught me is that it's easy to open a speech and be different because most speakers sound the same. Two key ideas that we've discussed in previous videos are the idea of information overload and handling your nerves. Both of these issues can have a negative impact on your opening. If you haven't had a chance to see these videos, I suggest you click on the links at the end of this video and you'll be able to review that information. So let's talk speech openings. Why are they so important? Research shows that audiences will give you between 7 and 30 seconds to make up their mind of whether they, first of all, like you, and second of all, whether they'll continue to listen to you. That's not much time. Think about the typical speech opening. How does it sound? In many cases, it goes something like this. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the committee, Madam President, Mr. Vice President, guests, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you today. It's such a great honor, and blah, 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 blah. Why is this a poor speech opening? First of all, it's what most everybody else does. And if you want to come across as different and cause the audience to sit up, the worst thing you can do is sound like every other speaker. The other problem is that when you come to the front of the room, the audience has some preconceived notions in their heads of what's going on. They also could be thinking lots of things. It may not have anything to do with you and your speech. Now, it's possible they could be thinking, what is this speaker going to give me that I can use? Is this person going to be any good? I hope they don't go too long. But they could also be thinking things like, are we having dinner with the Wilsons tonight or was that next week? What time do I have to get Timmy to soccer practice? Or 1,000 other ideas. So when you sound like every other speaker, the audience goes into what I call auto-response mode. At some level, they're thinking, I've heard this before, so I can check out. I'll check back in when the applause is, the people applaud at the end so we can get out of here and go have lunch. Obviously, this is not the result you want. So how do you open your speech in a way that will grab them, keep their attention, and hopefully compel them at some point to take action on your message? There are many ways, but I've found 4 that are very powerful. The first is to ask a question. What's important about this is that the question is related specifically to your topic. It's a great lead-in. For example, when I talk to people about public speaking skills, I'll ask them, raise your hand if you have to give speeches for part of your job and if it has an impact on your income. That's orienting them to the idea that we're going to talk about public speaking. So if you ask a question, make sure that it sets them up for the material that's about to come. Second idea is a quote. Quotes can be very powerful, but again, they have to relate to your topic at hand. I've heard many people give quotes, either to open a speech, to close, or to inundate people throughout, that really don't add to the message, so make sure you don't get caught in that trap. The third is to tell a statistic. One of my favorites when I have worked in the financial planning business was to talk to people about how the average price of a car today is the same price of the average new home in 1974. That really gets people's attention, and it underscores the concept of why inflation and the cost of living is such an important factor to look at when you plan your financial matters. The fourth tool, and really the most powerful, is to start with a story. Again, the story has to be relevant to the main message, but this is a great way to pull people right in. Using the statistic that I shared in the last example, what I could do is tell a story instead and pull people into my world. I might say, Joe and Martha were sitting in their kitchen having their customary morning coffee. Martha looked at Joe and said, "Honey, I cannot believe that we just spent as much on our car as we did on this house 40 years ago." Joe said, "Yeah, honey, it leaves me shaking my head and wondering, how is it that things got so expensive? It's a wonder that anybody can retire today the way prices keep going up." See what's happened there? Instead of giving just a cold statistic, I've brought it into the lives of two typical people and let them, through dialogue, talk about the impact of increasing cost of living. That story has been very useful when I talk to people about financial matters and to orient them to the fact that we're going to talk about inflation and why you need to plan for it. So those are 4 quick ideas on how to open your speech so that you don't sound like every other presenter. The key is to make sure that whatever tool you use, that it orients the audience to what's about to come. I encourage you to test these out. Get some feedback and see how it changes the audience mood, and if it doesn't get them to sit up a little straighter and give you more attention when you speak. And before we close out this video, I'd like to share with you a couple of thoughts. I have a very fortunate position. I get to help people develop their speaking skills and get their messages out to the world. I'm a huge believer that public speaking is the most important skill you have to get your message out about what it is you do and what you have to offer the world. As much as I love standing in front of audiences and impacting them, I love coaching just as much, if not more. I have an opportunity to impact so many lives, people I'll never meet, through the individuals that I help become better speakers. If you found this information to be useful, then I invite you to continue this journey. We're going to be releasing very soon a series of MP3s. It's an audio workshop called Stand Up, Stand Out. What you'll receive in these audios is the live workshop, and you'll have a workbook that's even more detailed than the audience members had. What we've tried to do is create a you are there experience so that you can go through the program and develop your speech at a deeper level than you can even get in these videos. So if that's of interest to you, keep an eye, because the next video will give you all the details on how you can get a copy of this for yourself. There will be a discounted price, and it will be available for a limited time. But again, you'll get all those details in the next video. Until then, I encourage you to go back over this video and the first 2 to incorporate these ideas, how to stop overloading your audience with information, how to control your nerves, and how to open with a bang so that people want to hear more. That's quite a bit of work. I encourage you to go out there, test the information and ideas you've gotten, rewrite your speeches, and go out and test again. That's the way the best of the best do it, and I encourage you to try it also. Before ending this video, as always, I would love to hear your thoughts, either on the ideas on how to open that we've shared or things that work for you, the best tools and techniques to open so that you can stand out every time you give a presentation. Keep an eye on your next video. You'll get information on how you too can participate in the Stand Up, Stand Out home study workshop. And until then, always remember, you have a message that someone needs to hear.